Chip Kelly had an impromptu late-night meeting with the media there, Casey, so we don't usually hear from Chip in the 5 o'clock hour. He didn't have a whole heck of a lot to tell us. He was a little chippy today, that Chip Kelly was. But one thing I'll ask you, and I got this question in, do you think in hindsight, Malcolm Jenkins having a concussion, could that explain why Cole Beasley was, using and abusing him the other night? But he's played pretty good in the slot all year. But how about Beasley beating up on the Eagles' defense? Did you see something in their secondary that's a cause for concern that other teams might use, especially this Dolphins team this week?
Well, they've got Jarvis Landry, so they certainly can do damage from the slot and things. I mean, does it explain it? Hard to say. It sounds like it would be a reasonable explanation as to why suddenly Beasley goes out to catch 9 passes. I mean, they go from what he'd done. He had a couple games where he hadn't posted anything, and suddenly now he's this all-star again. So, that would be a big explanation for it. The thing is that's if that's a mid-game change. So okay, that's an adjustment you got to make during the game itself. I think if you're if Miami has to. If Miami, you're coming into the game and you know that Landry's the guy you've got to stop in that offense, I think it's a whole different scenario. So I wouldn't be as worried about that kind of thing recurring this week.
All right, let's look at the matchups in this game. You got Philadelphia. They've won 3 out of 4. They have scored 27 points in those wins. The Dolphins, on the other side, have given up 33 or more back-to-back games here. What is the identity of this Dolphins team, number one?
Well, the identity a couple weeks ago was we don't like Joe Philbin. So once they got that out of their system, though, because even look at the game they played against Houston. They've got that great first half. I mean, they're unstoppable. Houston looks like they're going through the motions, and Miami is just absolutely on fire. In the second half of that game, Miami kind of went through the motions, and Houston almost made it a ball game at the end. So Miami, I think they got we hate our coach, now we like this new guy, but now they're not responding to the new guy. So what's their identity? I still don't think they have one right now. Now that they lost, the idea of, hey, we're playing to show people that we didn't like Philbin. So Miami's looking pretty bad right now.
I know they bring Sue in the offseason, and they're hoping to get him double-teamed, and then the pass rush with Wake, he's out. How has Sue helped or done? What has he done to help that defense?
He's not the same player that he was either at Detroit or at Nebraska. And I graded his tape at Nebraska coming out in the draft that year. There hadn't been a more impactful player I'd seen on the defensive player I'd seen on tape both that season and since then. I've never seen somebody who's just commands so much attention and has such a high motor. And this year, you're just not seeing that same motor all the time. And sometimes you're seeing the same old too, but you're just not seeing the same motor all the time, which is kind of surprising because that way it was like he never turned the motor down in the past. So that's a concern. They're a big concern also for the Dolphins. As you talk about the pass rush, they're ranked 26th in the league in vertical yards per attempt allowed. That's production on passes thrown 11 or more yards downfield. So that pass rush, even when they did have the pass rush, it wasn't stopping passes deep downfield. Now that they have a limited pass rush, it should open things up for Philadelphia.
The run game, they had Jay Ajayi last week. They said they want to get him more involved. Lamar Miller had over 100 yards. And Philadelphia's been struggling against the run the last couple of weeks. Any concern there?
If I'm Philadelphia, I definitely have a concern around Philadelphia, especially with the injuries of late. The thing, if I'm Philadelphia, I want to play pace football. I want to go ahead and get that lead as fast as they can because Miami's rushed offense. They've had the best good blocking rate in the league for most of the season. It's a metric I have that measures how often an offensive blocking ball gives its ball carriers quality blocking in the running game. So you don't want to let them lean on their running game. Philadelphia's good blocking rate has been very good of late. Get the run game going, hit those big passes against this weak defense, get the lead, and take that run game out of Miami. Because if it's Tannehill trying to throw all the time, that should be a favorable matchup for Miami.
Talking with Casey Joyner, ESPN.com, NFL Insider here on the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. Looking at some of the matchups here where Philadelphia can exploit. The Eagles do run the ball 150 yards, a game the last couple of games, especially in their wins. Is that something they can get going against this Miami team?
Yeah, Miami's been hit or miss at stopping the run this year. And again, it's funny with Sue. There were times with Detroit when Sue was in Detroit that teams just said, "We're not going to run the football. We're not doing it. We're not going to run the football at you, and we're just going to throw the ball." And it wasn't just New England does that sometimes where they'll say we'll go all passing and not run the football against certain matchups, but other teams would do it too. So But that's not been the case, and that's another indication that he's not having the same impact down here that he was in Detroit. So if I'm Philadelphia, I'm going ahead and I'm leaning on my run game and expecting to be able to run the football, even though Sue's in the middle.
And last week, Philadelphia, we talked about this a little bit on Monday. They were able to really run the ball pretty consistently. But Sam Bradford, he had said this week that they're starting to find some of the things that they do well and get more comfortable. Are you looking and seeing a more comfortable Sam Bradford? Because in the first half, he surely didn't look like that guy. In the second half, and we've seen this before, he's played better. But are there signs that he is getting more comfortable?
It's almost like the Eagles have to see what the other team's doing pass rushing-wise, and then they go in to make a halftime adjustment, and then Bradford feels like in the second half he can go out and he's going to be able to get the pass block he wants, because in the first half teams are kind of able to disrupt him, and he's frequently looking like he doesn't feel like he's going to get the pass blocking. But he didn't have very good vertical passing numbers at the end of the first half of the Dallas game, but at the end of the game, he had 184 yards through the air on vertical passes, which is a terrific number. It was like 20 yards per attempt. It was he was hitting some big plays all the time. So again, against this Miami secondary, they've played well this year. They've got some injuries and such, and they've not stopped the deep pass. And if you're Philadelphia, that's just something that you get, if you can get your run game going at all, you ought to be able to go really deep against this defense. And if you can do that, like I said, I don't think Miami can go toe to toe with Philadelphia. Philadelphia gets the vertical pass game going.
Well, and Tannehill had he looked like he was turning the corner, Casey. He had multiple touchdowns in 5 consecutive games, but hasn't thrown a touchdown pass over his last couple of starts. That's 90 pass attempts for him. What are the struggles of Tannehill right now?
The same old struggle that's always been for him is that he doesn't do well on vertical passes. I mean, the Eagles fans get frustrated when Bradford has a bad half. Tannehill just has bad games, bad multiple games, bad seasons. Over the past few years, he's not as bad. We've been bashing Matt Castle here in this segment over the past few weeks. He's not as bad as Castle, but he's in the bottom 10 of the league in vertical yards per attempt. He's just and a lot of it is inaccuracies. A lot of it is he's just not very good at throwing deep vertical passes. And if you get a quarterback who's just not naturally accurate, not a lot you can do to coach your way out of that. That's you either have it or you don't.
Would he be a good fit in, well, I guess he's running Bill Lazor's offense, which is similar to Chip Kelly's, but some people have suggested that Tannehill would be a good fit in Philadelphia.
If you ran the offense if you could run the Kelly offense to its peak efficiency, and you could say, okay, we're going to be giving you one-on-one situations where you can put a lot of air on the ball and deep passes, and do things like that, because you don't have to worry about safeties coming over and picking passes off. You can do some different things with your vertical passing. I'd be okay with Tannehill in this offense, but truth be told, I just don't think that if you can't throw the deep pass, if you can't just gun the ball in there, you can't just be naturally accurate on vertical passes. I don't think you can rely on play calling to get it open all the time. So he'd be a good quarterback, but I'd rather have Bradford in this offense.
Give me a spot if you're a Philadelphia fan you're concerned this week.
I'm concerned if Miami gets their running game going. It could be because Miami's run blocking this year has been, for most of the season, it's been the best run blocking team in the league according to my good blocking rate metric. And if Miami can, now they've got 2 backs now. Now, Miller has been okay. Do we ever let him be a bell cow? Can he handle that many carries? You get Ajayi out there, you don't have to have Miller handle those carries. You can make this a platoon setup, and you can just go left and right with these 2 guys. And Ajayi can break out some big games too. By the way, he's got some breakaway ability. So if I'm Philadelphia, I'm worried about Miami getting that run game going, because that would open things up for Tannehill.
Talk with Casey Joyner, ESPN.com. NFL insider here, and conversely, Philadelphia, it seems like, Miami can get beat both on the ground and through the air. This could be a game where they put up a lot of points, and we can maybe finally see this offense churn out 2 halves of football. They haven't been able to score in the first quarter at all, man.
They haven't, and what I'd love to see, Philadelphia's defense is getting turnovers and things, and the defense is built for that, but it's built to get the lead and then get that, and they've not been getting the lead and being able to play that. I would love to see a game from a Philadelphia perspective. Love to see a game where they get out to an early 10-0, 14-0 lead, and they can lean on the run game on offense, and then they can get that defense to just play, okay, we're going to pin our ears back and get after the quarterback, and we're going to ball hawk. I have a feeling if you saw that, then it would be this is why we thought this team had Super Bowl potential in the preseason.
Casey Joyner with us. Philadelphia at home. You see any way Miami comes in there and knocks them off?
I mean, if Bradford, reverts to making bad decisions or, throws some picks because he's inaccurate on passes, I mean, yeah, it's going to take a case for Philadelphia would have to lose the game. I don't think if both teams play well that Miami wins this game, but if Philadelphia plays badly, they could lose it. But as long as Philadelphia executes at a certain level, I think that they definitely win this game. I don't want to say going away, but it win 31-17.
All right, Casey Joyner, everybody. He'll be back on Monday to recap the Eagles and the Dolphins, and, of course, every Thursday here on the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. We do appreciate you moving back a couple minutes with Chip telling us that he would never consider moving Jason Peters from left tackle anywhere else. He was asked that question, Casey, and his flat answer was no. He was a little short today. He was a little chippy today, but we appreciate it as always.
Appreciate it, man.